You've been told that manifesting requires endless action, constant hustle, and relentless chasing after your desires. But what if I told you that the most profound quantum shifts happen in the exact opposite space? What if the very act of chasing is the energetic signature that keeps your manifestations at arm's length, while a completely different quantum state naturally draws everything you desire directly into your reality? I'm about to share something with you that goes against everything the manifestation industry wants you to believe. Because here's the uncomfortable truth they don't want you to know. There's a billion-dollar industry built on keeping you in perpetual chase mode, constantly seeking the next technique, the next course, the next breakthrough method. But quantum physics reveals something absolutely revolutionary about how reality actually responds to human consciousness, and it has nothing to do with chasing anything. What I'm going to reveal to you today will probably challenge everything you think you know about manifestation, because the real quantum shift magic doesn't happen when you're desperately reaching for your desires. It happens when you embody a completely different energetic state, one that the most successful people on the planet understand intuitively, but rarely talk about openly. See, there's a fundamental misunderstanding about how the quantum field actually operates. Most people think manifestation is about projecting your desires outward, pushing your intentions into the universe, forcing reality to bend to your will. But quantum mechanics shows us something completely different. The observer effect, one of the most validated principles in quantum physics, reveals that reality responds not to what you're chasing, but to what you're being. When you're in chase mode, you're broadcasting a very specific frequency into the quantum field. You're literally transmitting the energy of lack, of separation, of something being missing from your current reality. And here's what's fascinating. The quantum field is incredibly precise. It doesn't respond to your words or your visualizations or your affirmations. It responds to your actual energetic state, to what you're embodying in this moment. Think about it this way. When you're chasing something, what's the underlying assumption? That you don't have it, that it's separate from you, that you need to go get it from somewhere else. And the quantum field, which operates on pure energy and vibration, receives that signal and says, "Oh, they're experiencing not having this thing. Let me continue to create more experiences of not having this thing." But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. There's another state of being that creates the exact opposite effect. Instead of chasing, instead of reaching, instead of trying to pull your desires toward you, you shift into what quantum physicists call a state of coherence. And in this state, you're not broadcasting lack. You're not transmitting separation. You're embodying the energetic signature of already having, of already being, of already living in the reality where your desires are naturally present. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is a fundamental shift in your quantum state that changes how reality responds to you at the most basic level. Because when you stop chasing and start attracting, you're literally changing the information you're broadcasting into the field of infinite possibilities. Let me give you a perfect example of how this works in real life. Think about the last time someone was desperately trying to get your attention, your approval, your affection. Maybe it was someone who kept calling, kept pushing, kept trying to convince you of something. How did that feel? What was your natural response? You probably pulled back, right? You probably felt resistance. The very energy of their chasing created a natural repulsion. Now think about someone who had a completely different energy. Someone who was comfortable in their own space, confident in their own worth, not needing anything from you but genuinely enjoying your presence when you chose to share it. How did that feel? What was your natural response? You were probably drawn to them. Their non-needy, non-chasing energy was naturally attractive. This is exactly how the quantum field responds to your consciousness. When you're chasing, you create energetic resistance. When you're attracting, you create energetic magnetism. And the difference between these two states isn't in what you do, it's in what you embody. But here's what the manifestation industry doesn't want you to understand. They've built an entire empire on keeping you in chase mode. Think about it. If you truly understood how to shift from chasing to attracting, if you really embodied the quantum state that naturally draws your desires into your reality, you wouldn't need their endless courses, their complicated techniques, their monthly subscription programs. The truth is, quantum shift magic is elegantly simple, but simple doesn't sell courses. Simple doesn't create dependency. Simple doesn't generate recurring revenue. So they've convinced you that manifestation is complicated, that you need special techniques, that you need to learn their proprietary methods. But quantum physics reveals something completely different. At the quantum level, reality is pure potential, waiting to collapse into specific experiences based on the observer's state of consciousness. And here's the key. The observer's state isn't determined by what they're trying to get. It's determined by what they're currently being. When you're being someone who chases, reality responds by keeping your desires in chaseable distance. When you're being someone who naturally attracts, reality responds by collapsing possibilities into experiences that match that attractive state. This is where most people get completely confused. They think attracting means sitting around doing nothing, waiting for things to magically appear. But that's not what quantum attracting means at all. True attracting is actually a highly active state, but the activity is internal, energetic, quantum, rather than physical. When you're in true attracting mode, you're actively embodying the version of yourself who already has what you desire. You're actively maintaining the energetic signature of your fulfilled reality. You're actively choosing thoughts, feelings, and responses that align with your desired quantum state. This isn't passive at all. It's incredibly active, but the activity is happening at the level where reality is actually created. Here's what's fascinating about this quantum shift. The moment you stop chasing and start attracting, you immediately change your relationship with time, with effort, with struggle, because chasing implies that your desires are in the future, that you need to work hard to reach them, that there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. But attracting implies that your desires exist in the same quantum field you're already in, that they're available right now, that there's no gap to bridge because everything exists in this eternal present moment. And this shift in your relationship with time creates a completely different experience of manifestation. Instead of feeling like you're working toward your goals, you start feeling like your goals are working toward you. Instead of feeling like you need to make things happen, you start feeling like things are naturally happening through you. Instead of feeling separate from your desires, you start feeling like your desires are natural expressions of who you're becoming. But let me tell you where most people get tripped up. They hear about this attracting state, and they try to think their way into it. They try to convince themselves they're not chasing when they're still energetically reaching. They try to fake the feeling of already having when they're still vibrating with the energy of not having. And this creates even more resistance because now they're not only chasing their original desires, they're also chasing the state of not chasing. The real quantum shift happens when you understand that attracting isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's not a technique you apply, it's a state you embody. And you can't embody this state by trying to get somewhere else. You can only embody it by fully accepting where you are right now and recognizing that this present moment already contains everything you need to shift into your natural, attractive state. Here's what I mean by that. Right now, in this moment, you have access to the same quantum field that contains every possible version of your life, the version where you're struggling and chasing, and the version where you're naturally attracting everything you desire. These aren't different locations in time or space. They're different states of consciousness available to you right now. The version of you that's chasing is focused on what's missing, what's wrong, what needs to be fixed or achieved. The version of you that's attracting is focused on what's already perfect, what's already working, what's already flowing beautifully in your life. And here's the quantum secret. Whichever version you give your attention to, whichever state you choose to embody, that's the reality that gets amplified in your experience. This is why gratitude is so powerful, but not for the reasons most people think. Gratitude isn't powerful because it makes the universe want to give you more stuff. Gratitude is powerful because it instantly shifts you from the chasing state to the attracting state. When you're genuinely grateful for what you already have, you're embodying the energy of already having. And when you're embodying the energy of already having, the quantum field responds by creating more experiences that match that having state. But here's where it gets even more interesting. True quantum attracting isn't just about being grateful for what you already have in physical form. It's about being grateful for what you already have in potential form. It's about recognizing that your desires already exist in the quantum field. They're already part of your reality. They're just waiting for you to align with the version of yourself who naturally experiences them. Think about this for a moment. Every desire you have exists because the possibility of fulfilling it already exists. You can't desire something that's not already available in the field of infinite potential. Your desire is actually the universe's way of letting you know that this possibility is ready to become your reality. But it can only become your reality when you stop chasing it and start being the person who naturally attracts it. This is where the magic really starts to happen. When you shift from chasing to attracting, you stop trying to force specific outcomes and start trusting the intelligence of the quantum field to deliver your desires in the most perfect way possible. And often, the way your desires manifest when you're in attracting mode is far more beautiful, far more synchronistic, far more perfect than anything you could have created through chasing and forcing. I've seen this happen thousands of times with people who make this quantum shift. They stop desperately trying to make their business work, and suddenly the perfect opportunities start appearing. They stop chasing the perfect relationship and suddenly they meet someone amazing in the most unexpected way. They stop forcing their health to improve and suddenly they discover exactly what their body needs to heal naturally. But here's what's really happening at the quantum level. When you're chasing, you're operating from a very limited perspective. You think you know exactly how your desires should manifest, exactly when they should appear, exactly what form they should take. And this limited perspective actually limits what the quantum field can deliver to you. When you shift to attracting, you're operating from trust in the infinite intelligence of the quantum field. You're saying, I know what I desire, and I'm embodying the state of already having it, but I'm allowing the universe to surprise me with how it shows up. And this openness, this trust, this allowing creates space for manifestations that are far beyond what your limited mind could have imagined. Let me share something with you that might completely shift your perspective on this. The most successful, most fulfilled, most magnetic people you know aren't successful because they're good at chasing. They're successful because they've naturally embodied this attracting state. They've learned to be comfortable in their own energy, confident in their own worth, trusting in their own natural magnetism. And here's what's beautiful about this. You don't need to learn how to attract. You already know how. Attraction is your natural state. It's how you were designed to operate. The only reason you've been chasing is because you've been conditioned to believe that's how you get what you want. But that conditioning goes against your quantum nature. Think about when you were a child, before you learned that life was supposed to be hard, before you learned that you had to work for everything, before you learned that good things don't come easily. Remember how naturally magnetic you were? Remember how easily you attracted playmates, how effortlessly you created fun experiences, how naturally things seemed to work out for you. That wasn't because life was easier then. That was because you were naturally embodying the attracting state. You weren't worried about whether you deserved good things. You weren't calculating how much effort you needed to put in. You weren't chasing anything. You were just being yourself, enjoying the moment, trusting that good things would continue to flow into your experience. And they did, didn't they? Until you learned that you were supposed to chase them instead. So here's the first quantum shift I want you to consider. What if you don't need to learn anything new? What if you don't need to master any complicated techniques? What if the most powerful thing you could do is remember how to be naturally attractive again? This is why children are so naturally magnetic. This is why people who are comfortable in their own skin are so naturally attractive. This is why individuals who aren't desperately trying to prove anything are so naturally successful. They're embodying their quantum nature instead of working against it. But let's go deeper into the actual mechanics of how this works. At the quantum level, everything is energy and information. Your thoughts are energy and information. Your emotions are energy and information. Your beliefs are energy and information. And all of this energy and information is constantly broadcasting into the quantum field, creating the template for what gets manifested in your physical reality. When you're in chasing mode, you're broadcasting the energy and information of lack, of effort, of separation. The quantum field receives this broadcast and says, okay, they want to experience more lack, more effort, more separation. Let me create circumstances that require them to chase even harder. When you're in attracting mode, you're broadcasting the energy and information of abundance, of ease, of connection. The quantum field receives this broadcast and says, okay, they want to experience more abundance, more ease, more connection. Let me create circumstances that naturally flow toward them. This isn't metaphysical theory. This is how quantum systems actually work. They respond to the information being input into the system, and your consciousness is constantly inputting information into the quantum system of reality through your state of being. But here's where most people get confused about the difference between chasing and attracting. They think attracting means being passive, just sitting around waiting for things to happen. But that's not attracting at all. That's actually another form of chasing. Because you're still focused on what you don't have, you're still waiting for something external to change your experience. True attracting is incredibly active, but the activity is internal. You're actively choosing to embody the version of yourself who naturally has what you desire. You're actively maintaining the energetic state that matches your desired reality. You're actively aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the quantum signature of your fulfilled life. And when you're doing this internal work, the external actions that are required become obvious and effortless. Instead of forcing yourself to take action from a place of lack and desperation, you find yourself naturally inspired to take actions that feel good, that flow easily, that align with your attractive state. This is the difference between inspired action and desperate action. Desperate action comes from chasing. It feels hard, forced, uphill. Inspired action comes from attracting. It feels natural, flowing, aligned, and the results are completely different. When you take desperate action, you might get some results, but they usually require constant effort to maintain. When you take inspired action, the results tend to build momentum, create positive feedback loops, generate even more opportunities for attractive action. So how do you know if you're in chasing mode or attracting mode? It's actually very simple. Chasing feels contracted, urgent, anxious, effortful. Attracting feels expanded, relaxed, confident, natural. Chasing makes you focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what needs to be fixed. Attracting makes you focus on what's working, what's flowing, what's already perfect. And here's something beautiful about this. The moment you recognize you're in chasing mode, you can immediately shift to attracting mode. Not by trying to stop chasing, but by choosing to embody the attracting state instead. It's like switching radio stations. You don't fight with the station you don't want to hear. You simply tune into the frequency you do want to hear. But let me tell you about the most profound aspect of this quantum shift. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you don't just change what comes into your life, you change who you become. Because the attracting state is actually your most authentic state. It's who you really are when you're not trying to be someone else, when you're not trying to get somewhere else, when you're not trying to prove anything to anyone. And this authentic version of yourself is incredibly magnetic, not because you're trying to attract anything, but because authenticity itself is attractive. When you're genuinely being yourself, when you're comfortable in your own energy, when you're not needing anything from anyone else, people and opportunities are naturally drawn to you. This is why the most charismatic people aren't trying to be charismatic. This is why the most successful people aren't desperately trying to be successful. This is why the most attractive people aren't working hard to be attractive. They've simply learned to be themselves so completely that their natural magnetism shines through. And your natural magnetism is far more powerful than any technique you could learn, any strategy you could implement, any method you could master. Because your natural magnetism is connected to the same quantum intelligence that orchestrates the entire universe. When you align with this intelligence instead of working against it, you gain access to possibilities and synchronicities that your individual mind could never create. Where in your life right now are you still in chasing mode? Where are you trying to force outcomes, push for results, make things happen through sheer effort and will? And what would it feel like to shift into attracting mode in those areas instead? This is where the real transformation begins. Because when you start to embody the attracting state in one area of your life, it naturally begins to ripple into every other area. It's like tuning a master frequency that harmonizes everything else around it. Let me share with you what happens in your brain and nervous system when you make this shift from chasing to attracting. This is where the science gets absolutely fascinating. When you're in chasing mode, your brain is operating primarily from the sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight response, your survival mode, your stress state. And when your brain is in this state, it's literally designed to perceive lack, danger, and problems that need to be solved. But here's what's incredible. When you shift into attracting mode, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest state, your growth and healing mode, your natural state of well-being. And when your brain is operating from this state, it's designed to perceive abundance, opportunity, and solutions that are already available. So the very act of shifting from chasing to attracting doesn't just change what you're broadcasting into the quantum field. It changes what you're capable of perceiving in your current reality. And often the things you've been desperately chasing have been available to you all along. You just couldn't see them because your nervous system was tuned to the wrong frequency. This is why people often have breakthrough moments when they finally let go of trying so hard. It's not that their external circumstances suddenly changed, it's that their internal state shifted, and suddenly they could perceive possibilities that had been invisible to them before. I remember working with a woman who had been desperately trying to find her soulmate for years. She had tried every dating app, every matchmaking service, every manifestation technique she could find. She was exhausted from chasing, frustrated by the lack of results, and starting to believe that maybe love just wasn't meant for her. When we started working together, I didn't give her any new techniques for finding love. Instead, we focused on shifting her from chasing love to attracting love. We worked on helping her fall in love with her own life first, helping her become so genuinely happy and fulfilled as a single person that she wasn't needing a relationship to complete her. And something beautiful happened. As she stopped desperately searching for love and started genuinely enjoying her single life, she became incredibly magnetic, not because she was trying to attract anyone, but because she was radiating the energy of someone who was already complete, already happy, already living a beautiful life. Within 3 months, she met someone in the most unexpected way, not through any dating app or matchmaking service, but through a hobby she had started pursuing simply because it brought her joy. And the relationship that developed was far more beautiful and aligned than anything she could have created through all her desperate searching. This is the magic of quantum attracting. When you stop chasing what you think you need and start embodying who you actually are, life begins to reorganize itself around your authentic magnetic field, and the things that are truly aligned with your highest good start, showing up in the most natural, effortless ways. But let's talk about what happens in your energy field when you make this shift. This is where quantum physics gets really practical. Every human being has what scientists call a bioelectric field. This field extends several feet beyond your physical body, and it's constantly interacting with the energy fields of other people and the environment around you. When you're in chasing mode, your energy field is contracted, reaching, pulling. It's literally trying to grab onto things outside of itself, and other people can feel this energetically, even if they can't consciously identify what they're feeling. This reaching, grasping energy tends to make people want to pull away, to protect their own energy, to avoid getting caught up in your neediness. But when you shift into attracting mode, your energy field expands and radiates outward. Instead of trying to pull energy toward you, you're naturally sharing your energy with everything around you. And this radiant, giving energy is incredibly attractive to other people. They want to be around you because being in your presence makes them feel better, more alive, more inspired. This is why some people can walk into a room and everyone notices them, while others can try desperately to get attention and barely make an impact. It's not about physical appearance or charisma techniques. It's about the quality of energy they're broadcasting. Are they radiating, or are they grasping? Are they giving, or are they trying to take? And here's something that might surprise you. The people who are most naturally attractive, most naturally successful, most naturally magnetic aren't thinking about attracting anything. They're simply so engaged with their own authentic expression, so genuinely interested in contributing their gifts to the world, that attraction becomes a natural byproduct of their being. This is the paradox of quantum attracting. The less you try to attract, the more attractive you become. The less you need from others, the more others want to give to you. The less you chase opportunities, the more opportunities chase you. But this doesn't mean becoming indifferent or disconnected. True attracting is actually about becoming more connected, more engaged, more alive. It's just that your connection is with the present moment, with your authentic self, with the natural flow of life, rather than with some future outcome you're trying to create. Let me give you another example of how this works in the realm of business and career. I know a man who spent years desperately trying to build a successful business. He was working 18-hour days, constantly networking, always pitching his services, trying every marketing strategy he could find. And despite all this effort, his business was barely surviving. He was exhausted, frustrated, and starting to wonder if he just wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship. But then something shifted. He realized that all his chasing and forcing was actually repelling the very clients and opportunities he was trying to attract. So he made a radical decision. He stopped chasing clients and started focusing on becoming the kind of person that ideal clients would naturally want to work with. He stopped trying to convince people to buy his services and started genuinely caring about solving their problems, whether they hired him or not. He began sharing his knowledge freely, not as a marketing strategy, but because he genuinely enjoyed helping people. He started showing up authentically in his business relationships, not trying to be who he thought people wanted him to be, but simply being himself, and the transformation was remarkable. Within 6 months, his business had tripled, but more importantly, he was working with clients he genuinely enjoyed, doing work that felt meaningful and fulfilling, and operating from a place of ease and flow rather than stress and struggle. What happened? He shifted from chasing success to attracting success, and success, it turns out, is far more interested in people who don't desperately need it than in people who are frantically chasing after it. This is because success, like all forms of abundance, is actually a state of being rather than a collection of external achievements. When you embody the internal state of success, the external manifestations naturally follow. But when you chase the external manifestations while embodying the internal state of lack, you create resistance that pushes success away from you. And this brings us to one of the most profound aspects of quantum attracting. It's not about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you really are. Because who you really are at your core is already successful, already abundant, already magnetic, already attractive. These aren't qualities you need to develop or achieve. These are qualities you need to remember and embody. Think about this for a moment. The universe doesn't create anything that's not already perfect. You weren't born broken, lacking, or insufficient. You were born as a perfect expression of cosmic intelligence, with everything you need already encoded in your being. The only reason you experience lack or limitation is because you've learned to focus on what seems to be missing rather than what's already present. And this is where the real quantum shift happens. When you stop trying to become someone else and start remembering who you already are, you naturally align with your authentic power. And your authentic power is incredibly attractive because it's connected to the same creative force that manifests galaxies and grows flowers and beats your heart without any effort from your conscious mind. But here's where most people get stuck. They hear about embodying their authentic power, and they think it means becoming more aggressive, more pushy, more demanding. But that's not authentic power at all. That's actually another form of chasing, just dressed up in different clothes. True authentic power is incredibly gentle. It's quiet confidence rather than loud bravado. It's natural magnetism rather than forced charisma. It's effortless influence rather than manipulative persuasion. When you're operating from authentic power, you don't need to convince anyone of anything. Your very presence communicates your value. And this authentic power emerges naturally when you stop trying to be powerful and start simply being yourself. Because yourself, your true self, is already connected to infinite power. Not the kind of power that dominates or controls, but the kind of power that creates and attracts and transforms everything it touches. This is why the most influential people in history weren't trying to be influential. They were simply so committed to expressing their authentic truth that others couldn't help but be moved by their example. They weren't chasing followers. They were so aligned with their purpose that followers naturally appeared. And your purpose, your authentic expression, your unique contribution to the world, is also incredibly magnetic. When you're doing what you're truly meant to do, when you're sharing the gifts you're truly meant to share, when you're being who you're truly meant to be, you don't have to work at attracting anything. Attraction becomes as natural as breathing. But how do you discover what you're truly meant to do? How do you identify your authentic gifts? How do you recognize your real purpose? The answer might surprise you. You don't discover these things by thinking about them or analyzing them or trying to figure them out. You discover them by paying attention to what naturally attracts you, what naturally energizes you, what naturally flows through you when you're not trying to control the outcome. Your authentic gifts are the things you do so naturally that you might not even recognize them as gifts. Your real purpose is what you find yourself naturally drawn to contribute, even when no one is paying you or praising you for it. Your true self is who you are when you're so absorbed in something meaningful that you forget to worry about how you're being perceived. And when you start operating from this authentic space, something magical happens. You stop competing with other people because you realize that no one else can do what you're here to do. You stop comparing yourself to others because you understand that everyone has their own unique role to play. You stop trying to be better than anyone else because you're too busy being the best version of yourself. This is the ultimate expression of quantum attracting. When you're so full of yourself that you're not trying to be anyone else. When you're so engaged with your authentic purpose that you're not worried about the results. When you're so connected to your natural gifts that sharing them feels effortless, you become a magnet for everything that's truly aligned with your highest good. And the beautiful thing is, What's truly aligned with your highest good is always far better than what you thought you wanted when you were chasing. Because when you were chasing, you were operating from the limited perspective of your ego, your fears, your conditioning. But when you're attracting, you're operating from the unlimited perspective of your soul, your wisdom, your connection to the infinite intelligence of the universe. This is why people who make the shift from chasing to attracting often say that their life became better than they ever imagined possible. Not because they got everything they thought they wanted, but because they discovered desires and possibilities they never even knew existed. Let me share with you what this looks like in the area of health and well-being. So many people are desperately chasing health, trying diet after diet, workout program after workout program, supplement after supplement, always looking for the next thing that's going to fix their body and make them feel better. But what if health isn't something you chase? What if health is something you attract by embodying the state of well-being? What if your body is actually designed to be healthy, and illness is what happens when you're broadcasting the wrong information into your cellular system? This isn't about ignoring medical advice or avoiding necessary treatment. This is about understanding that your consciousness has a profound impact on your physical health, and that shifting from a chasing mentality to an attracting mentality can dramatically improve your body's natural healing capacity. When you're chasing health, you're focused on what's wrong with your body, what needs to be fixed, what symptoms need to be eliminated. And this focus on illness and dysfunction actually reinforces the very patterns you're trying to change. But when you shift to attracting health, you focus on what's already working in your body, what's already healing, what's already functioning perfectly. You start to appreciate the miracle of your heartbeat, the intelligence of your immune system, the incredible complexity of cellular processes that happen automatically without any conscious effort from you. And as you shift your focus from dysfunction to function, from illness to wellness, from what's wrong to what's right, your body begins to respond differently, not because you're denying problems or avoiding treatment, but because you're creating the optimal internal environment for healing and regeneration. I've seen people make remarkable health improvements simply by shifting from fighting their illness to loving their body. Instead of being at war with their symptoms, they start listening to what their body is trying to communicate. Instead of forcing their body to be different, they start supporting their body's natural healing wisdom. This is the difference between chasing health and attracting health. Chasing health is about forcing your body to comply with your demands. Attracting health is about creating the conditions where your body can naturally express its inherent wholeness. And the same principle applies to every area of life. Chasing money creates financial struggle. Attracting abundance creates financial flow. Chasing love creates relationship drama. Attracting love creates harmonious partnerships. Chasing success creates exhaustion and burnout. Attracting success creates fulfillment and ease. But here's what I really want you to understand about this shift. It's not about changing your external circumstances first and then feeling better. It's about shifting your internal state first and then watching your external circumstances naturally align with that new state. This is backwards from how most people approach life. Most people think they need to get the job before they can feel successful, find the relationship before they can feel loved, make the money before they can feel abundant. But quantum physics shows us that consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. When you embody the feeling of success before you have the external evidence, you create the energetic template that draws successful opportunities into your experience. When you embody the feeling of love before you meet your perfect partner, you become the kind of person that your perfect partner is also looking for. When you embody the feeling of abundance before your bank account reflects it, you align with the creative intelligence that can manifest abundance in ways you never expected. This is why visualization and affirmations can be powerful tools, but only when they're used to help you genuinely shift your internal state, not when they're used as techniques to manipulate external outcomes. The universe doesn't respond to your words or your mental images. The universe responds to your authentic feeling state, to what you're actually embodying in each moment. And this brings us to one of the most important distinctions between chasing and attracting. When you're chasing, you're trying to use techniques to get results. When you're attracting, you're embodying states to become aligned. Techniques are external. States are internal. Results are temporary. Alignment is sustainable. This is why people can learn the most powerful manifestation techniques and still struggle to create lasting change. Because techniques without genuine state change are just spiritual bypassing. They're attempts to manipulate reality without actually transforming consciousness. But when you focus on genuinely shifting your internal state, When you actually embody the version of yourself who naturally attracts what you desire, the techniques become unnecessary, not because they don't work, but because you've become someone who doesn't need them. Think about someone who is naturally charismatic. Do they need techniques to be engaging? Think about someone who is naturally confident. Do they need methods to feel good about themselves? Think about someone who is naturally abundant. Do they need strategies to create wealth? Of course not. These qualities flow naturally from who they are, not from what they do. And when you shift from chasing to attracting, you're essentially shifting from doing to being. You're becoming the kind of person who naturally experiences what you desire, rather than the kind of person who has to work hard to get what you want. But let me address something that might be coming up for you right now. You might be thinking, and this sounds great, but how do I actually make this shift? How do I stop chasing and start attracting? How do I embody these states when my current reality doesn't match them? These are beautiful questions, and they point to the practical application of everything we've been exploring, because understanding the quantum mechanics of attracting is one thing. Actually embodying the attracting state in your daily life is another. And here's the first thing I want you to know. You don't have to make this shift all at once. You don't have to completely transform overnight. You can start exactly where you are, with exactly what you have, in exactly the circumstances you're currently experiencing. The shift from chasing to attracting begins with awareness. Simply noticing when you're in chasing mode is the first step toward shifting into attracting mode, because you can't change what you're not aware of. And most people spend their entire lives unconsciously chasing, without ever recognizing that there's another way to operate. So start paying attention to how different states feel in your body. Notice the physical sensations of chasing, the tension, the urgency, the contraction, the sense of reaching for something outside yourself, and then notice the physical sensations of attracting, the relaxation, the expansion, the sense of being centered in yourself, the feeling of natural magnetism radiating outward from your core. Your body is actually an incredible guidance system for recognizing which state you're in. Chasing always feels effortful, strained, like you're swimming upstream. Attracting always feels natural, flowing, like you're being carried by a current that's moving in the direction you want to go. And here's something beautiful about this body awareness. The more you practice recognizing these different states, the faster you can shift between them. It becomes like developing a new sense, a quantum sense that helps you navigate reality from your most powerful and attractive state. But there's another level to this that most people miss entirely. The shift from chasing to attracting isn't just about changing your approach to getting what you want. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with desire itself. When you're in chasing mode, desire feels like evidence that something is missing from your life. Your desires feel like problems to be solved, gaps to be filled, proof that you're not complete as you are. And this creates a very uncomfortable relationship with wanting anything, because every desire becomes a reminder of what you don't have. But when you shift to attracting mode, desire becomes something completely different. Desire becomes information from your soul about what wants to emerge through you. Desire becomes the universe's way of showing you what's ready to be born in your experience. Desire becomes a creative force that's trying to express itself through your unique perspective and gifts. From this attracting perspective, your desires aren't evidence of lack. They're evidence of abundance. They're not problems to be solved. They're possibilities waiting to be explored. They're not gaps in your completeness. They're expressions of your infinite creative potential. And when you relate to your desires this way, something magical happens. You stop being at war with your wanting. You stop feeling guilty for having big dreams. You stop apologizing for your ambitions. Instead, you start honoring your desires as sacred information about what the universe wants to create through you. This shift in your relationship with desire changes everything about how you pursue your goals. Instead of chasing your desires because you feel incomplete without them, you start attracting your desires because you're excited about what you'll become in the process of allowing them to manifest through you. And this is where the real transformation happens, because when you're chasing your desires, you're focused on getting to the destination. But when you're attracting your desires, you're focused on enjoying the journey. And paradoxically, when you're genuinely enjoying the journey, you arrive at destinations that are far more beautiful than anything you could have planned when you were just trying to get somewhere else. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Imagine you desire financial abundance. If you're in chasing mode, you focus on all the ways you don't have enough money, all the bills you need to pay, all the things you can't afford. You work harder, stress more, Constantly calculate and worry and strategize about how to make more money. But if you shift to attracting mode, you start focusing on the abundance that already exists in your life. You appreciate the money that flows to you easily. You notice all the ways the universe supports you financially that you might have been taking for granted. You start embodying the feeling of someone who naturally attracts financial opportunities. And from this state, instead of desperately chasing every possible income stream, you start noticing which opportunities genuinely excite you, which paths feel aligned with your natural gifts, which directions make you feel expanded rather than contracted. The actions you take from attracting mode are completely different from the actions you take from chasing mode. Chasing actions feel forced, desperate, like you're trying to make something happen. Attracting actions feel inspired, natural, like something is trying to happen through you. And the results are completely different too. Chasing actions might create temporary results that require constant effort to maintain. Attracting actions tend to create sustainable results that build momentum and generate even more opportunities. But here's what I really want you to understand about this process. The shift from chasing to attracting isn't just a personal development technique. It's actually a return to your natural way of being. It's how you operated before you learned that life was supposed to be difficult, before you were taught that good things don't come easily, before you bought into the collective belief that you have to struggle to be worthy of what you desire. Watch a young child who hasn't been conditioned yet. They don't chase happiness. They simply are happy. And happiness naturally attracts more reasons to be happy. They don't chase play. They embody playfulness, and playful experiences naturally appear around them. They don't chase love. They radiate love, and loving responses naturally flow back to them. This is your original nature. This is how you're designed to operate. The chasing, the struggling, the efforting, the forcing, these are learned behaviors that go against your quantum design. And the beautiful thing is, no matter how long you've been operating in chasing mode, you can return to your natural attracting state at any moment. Because attracting isn't a skill you have to develop. It's a remembering of who you already are. It's a return to your authentic power. It's an alignment with the creative intelligence that's always been flowing through you, waiting for you to stop working against it and start working with it. And when you make this alignment, when you stop fighting the current and start flowing with it, life becomes not just easier, but more meaningful, more synchronistic, more magical. You start experiencing what some people call flow state, not just occasionally, but as your natural way of being. In flow state, effort becomes effortless. Challenges become opportunities for creative solutions. Obstacles become stepping stones to even better outcomes. You're still taking action, still moving toward your goals, still creating and contributing and growing, but you're doing it all from a place of natural ease rather than forced struggle. This is what quantum attracting really means. It's not about sitting around waiting for things to happen. It's about aligning so completely with the natural flow of creative intelligence that your actions become expressions of universal wisdom rather than products of personal effort. And from this aligned state, you don't just attract what you thought you wanted. You attract what your soul actually desires, which is always far more beautiful, far more fulfilling, far more perfect than what your mind could have imagined when it was busy chasing. This is why people who make this shift often say that their life became unrecognizable in the most wonderful way. Not because they got everything on their wish list, but because they discovered wishes they didn't even know they had. Not because all their problems disappeared, but because they developed a completely different relationship with challenges that transformed problems into adventures. And this brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of shifting from chasing to attracting. When you're chasing, you're always trying to get somewhere else, be someone else, have something else. There's a constant sense of not there yet, of not enough yet, of not ready yet. But when you shift to attracting, you discover that everything you've been chasing has actually been available to you all along. Not necessarily in the exact form you thought you wanted, but in the essential experience you were really seeking. You realize that the love you were chasing in relationships was actually the love you're capable of being. The success you were chasing in your career was actually the fulfillment you experience when you're expressing your authentic gifts. The abundance you were chasing financially was actually the prosperity you feel when you're genuinely grateful for what you already have. This doesn't mean you stop having goals or dreams or desires. It means you pursue them from completeness, rather than from lack, from excitement rather than from desperation, from trust rather than from fear. And when you operate from this space, something remarkable happens. You become someone that your future self would be proud of, not just because of what you achieve, but because of who you become in the process of allowing your desires to manifest through you. So let me ask you this. In what area of your life are you most ready to make this shift from chasing to attracting? Where are you most tired of the struggle? Most ready to try a completely different approach? Most open to discovering what becomes possible when you align with your natural magnetic power instead of working against it? Because the moment you're ready to make this shift, the universe is ready to support you in ways that will absolutely amaze you. The quantum field has been waiting for you to remember your natural attracting power, and when you do, when you finally stop chasing and start attracting, you'll wonder why you ever thought life had to be so difficult in the first place. If this is resonating with you, if you're feeling that spark of recognition that tells you this is exactly what you've been looking for, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm sharing with you isn't just theory. It's a complete transformation in how you relate to your desires, your goals, and your life itself. And I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share one word that captures what you're most ready to stop chasing and start attracting instead. Is it love, success, health, abundance, peace? Whatever it is, just drop that one word in the comments, because your willingness to name it is the first step in shifting your relationship with it. Are you ready to discover what becomes possible when you stop working so hard to make your life work and start allowing your life to work through you? Because that's exactly what we're going to explore next, and it's going to completely change how you think about effort, achievement, and what it really means to live a successful life. The truth is, you've spent so much of your life believing that you have to earn your good, that you have to prove your worth, that you have to chase down every opportunity and force every outcome. But what if I told you that this entire paradigm is not just exhausting, but completely backwards from how the universe actually operates? You see, the quantum field doesn't respond to your desperation. It doesn't care how hard you're trying or how much you think you deserve something. The quantum field responds to one thing only: the vibrational signature you're broadcasting in this moment. And when you're chasing, no matter how positive your thoughts or how clear your visualizations, you're broadcasting the frequency of not having, of separation, of lack. But when you shift into attracting mode, when you embody the state of already being who you're becoming, when you radiate the energy of someone who naturally receives their good, you align with the same creative force that grows flowers and moves planets and beats your heart without any effort from your conscious mind. This isn't about becoming passive or giving up on your dreams. This is about becoming so powerfully aligned with your authentic nature that your dreams can't help but flow toward you. This is about remembering that you're not separate from the universe trying to get something from it. You are the universe expressing itself through your unique perspective, and everything you desire is simply the cosmos wanting to experience itself through your individual consciousness. When you truly understand this, when you really embody this truth, chasing becomes impossible, not because you stop wanting things, but because you realize that what you're really seeking is not outside of you. The love you want to attract is the love you're capable of being. The success you want to create is the fulfillment you experience when you're expressing your gifts authentically. The abundance you want to manifest is the prosperity you feel when you're genuinely grateful for the miracle of your existence. And from this place of embodied understanding, your entire relationship with desire transforms. Your goals become exciting adventures rather than desperate missions. Your challenges become opportunities for creative solutions rather than evidence that something is wrong. Your setbacks become redirections toward something even better rather than proof that you're not good enough. This is the quantum shift that changes everything. Not just what you attract into your life, but who you become in the process. Because the person who naturally attracts their desires is someone who has remembered their inherent worth, their natural magnetism, their connection to the infinite creative intelligence of the universe. And that person, that magnetic, attractive, naturally successful version of yourself, isn't someone you need to become someday in the future. That person is who you already are, right now, underneath all the conditioning that taught you to chase instead of attract, to struggle instead of flow, to prove instead of simply be. So here's my invitation to you. Stop chasing. Start attracting. Not as a technique, but as a return to your true nature. Not as something you do, but as someone you are. Not as a way to get what you want, but as a way to become who you're meant to be. Because when you do, when you finally align with your natural attractive power, You'll discover that everything you've been chasing has been chasing you right back. You'll realize that the universe has been conspiring in your favor all along, just waiting for you to stop working against it and start working with it. And that shift, that quantum leap from chasing to attracting, will be the moment your real life begins, the moment you stop trying to force your way to happiness and start allowing happiness to flow through you, the moment you stop chasing your dreams and start living them. The quantum field is waiting. Your authentic power is waiting. Your naturally magnetic self is waiting. All that's required is for you to stop chasing long enough to remember that what you seek is already seeking you. And the moment you embody that truth, everything changes.